Well, look, all jokes aside, we are taking this extremely seriously. Donald Trump is a skilled debater. He has been in the most presidential debates of any candidate in presidential history. This will be the vice president's first presidential debate as the nominee. And so, we know that Donald Trump is preparing, as he has been for weeks. And so he's going to come ready.
Well, we are just one day away from the presidential debate, and Harris reportedly preparing in a hotel in Pittsburgh with a mock debate studio set up, intense rehearsed questions, and then Trump reportedly opting for policy sessions with aides and allies instead of traditional practice runs.
Many saying the debate could define the rest of the campaign, with polls showing the race in a statistical dead heat. This will be the first time Harris and Trump have ever met each other in person. Let's ask our political panel about it. Melanie Collette is the former vice chair of the New Jersey Federation of Republican Women. T.W. Shannon, former speaker of the Oklahoma House of Representatives. So tomorrow's the big night. Melanie, we'll start with you here. What do you make of what the Harris-Walz deputy campaign manager had to say? Appears to be taking, Donald Trump as a serious competitor.
Well, I think that's the smart perspective for him to have, because Donald Trump is a serious competitor. And the fact that they're going to have the mics muted, I think is going to be to Harris's serious disadvantage, because she's not going to be able to filibuster or be super sassy and get some kind of viral social media soundbite. She might actually have to come with some serious substance to her arguments as to why she should be the most powerful person on the face of the earth, which is the next president of the United States.
Melanie, I've got to disagree with you on one point. Usually you and I are aligned on most things, but I think the mic muting is a huge advantage for Harris, because the less people hear of Kamala Harris, the better off she is, frankly. I think the debate ultimately is going to boil down to two things. Number one, we don't know where Kamala stands on most issues. Basically her campaign message has been, whatever Donald Trump says, that's what I believe. But we all know that's not true. And I think this debate, Donald Trump's going to get a chance to really, and hopefully the host, I'm not real hopeful, but if it was a Newsmax debate, I'd feel a lot more hopeful about it. But hopefully we can hear some policy positions for Kamala Harris, because as we know, she's yet to address the American people in a real way on what she actually believes.
Yeah, many people are weighing in, including a former presidential candidate, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Here's what he had to say about tomorrow's debate. Watch.
I competed with her for the Democratic nomination, and I had the honor of being involved in her debate preparations against Mike Pence. She is a very focused and disciplined leader, but it will take almost superhuman focus and discipline to deal with Donald Trump in a debate. It's no ordinary proposition. Not because Donald Trump is a master of explaining policy ideas and how they're going to make people better off. It's because he's a master of taking any form or format that is on television and turning it into a show that is all about him.
Melanie, your response to the Transportation Secretary.
The Transportation Secretary should be called the Secretary of Gaslighting, because he sat there and said that we shouldn't be talking about President Trump, and then sat there and talked about President Trump for the next minute and a half instead of talking about how qualified Vice President Harris is. He does this all the time, and it is actually becoming extremely irritating, because the focus is always on, oh, he's a showman, he's not about substance, when really it is his candidate that he's backing, Vice President Harris, that has no policy substance, that is all about being sassy, being a woman, and being about joy and emotion, rather than the serious issues that are involved and that are at stake in this presidential election.
All right. Well, speaking of backing candidates, we've learned that former President George W. Bush apparently doesn't have any plans to endorse a 2024 presidential candidate. The office saying that neither he nor former First Lady Laura Bush would endorse a candidate or publicly share how they will vote. Bush has been largely quiet on GOP successors' campaigns, but you contrast that, TW, to what we've heard from Dick Cheney, who says he's supporting Kamala Harris and that Trump could never be trusted with power again. Your thoughts on these endorsements and the impact they might carry?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the Cheneys and the Bushes are thinking in this moment in history right now. We have the most liberal, probably dangerous presidential candidate in American history, and they have an opportunity to use their platforms to advance the Republican Party, a Republican Party that has been very, very good to the Bushes and the Cheneys. So ultimately, I think most Americans like me, most Republicans certainly believe Donald Trump is the most qualified candidate in this race to lead America. We saw what happened when he was president for 4 years, where we had the best economy in the world, where we actually had a border that was secure, and we actually were fighting the COVID virus and winning it. What we need now is a united Republican Party, and we need Republicans to understand that we can't have this division within our party like the Democrats. If we're going to lead, we have to lead with strength, and that starts with getting behind the nominee, a nominee who is tested and proven to stand for the conservative values that have made the Republican Party great. If we want to make America great again, it starts with the 3 C's. It's capitalism, it's Christianity, and it certainly starts with reminding people that Donald Trump stands for the conservative party and for the Republican Party, and that party is for every American.
All right. Trump responding to Cheney's response there, voting for Kamala Harris, a Republican voting for a Democrat. He says this: Dick Cheney is an irrelevant rhino, along with his daughter, who lost by the largest margin in the history of congressional races. They couldn't get Scooter Libby, but who did so much for them but was so unfairly treated. Pardon, I did it. He's the king of endless nonsensical wars, wasting lives and trillions of dollars, just like Comrade Kamala Harris. Again, that from the former president. Melanie.
Not one lie detected. And one thing that 45 said, I'm sorry, but he is absolutely right. And I'm sorry. If you are a card-carrying Republican, you are completely insane to vote for somebody like a radical like Kamala Harris just because you're mad at President Trump. That's what liberals do. They vote based on emotion. Republicans, by and large, vote based on policy and substance and the critical moment where we are in history in the United States. And he's ridiculous. And 45 told no lies in that truth that he sent out.
You don't even have to go back that far in time to find tweets of former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, in which she was critical of Vice President Kamala Harris and what she described to be, a radical record. We've got to leave it right there. Melanie, Collette, TW Shannon, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thanks,
guys.
Thank you.